Hey, what's going on there, YouTube? It's SEO0320 representing JVS number 8 of phase number 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is my Infinity War challenge. Hope y'all have been enjoying it for the most part, but this one is Thor: The Dark World. What did I think about it? Now, after some time processing, I think that there were some things that worked and there's some definitely things that didn't work. And I feel like it's a direct comparison and a parallel to the very first movie and this one. Everything in the very first movie that was taking place on Earth, it just kind of came off, specifically from Darcy, really cringeworthy, really unnecessary, kind of boring. But I think even in the first one, it had a little bit more understanding based on the circumstance that Thor was in. In this film, you know, the only real reason why Earth involvement was, it had to do with, of course, the Reality Stone. The Reality Stone is what is present in this movie that is going to be reminiscent later on when it comes to Infinity War, which it's weird because this is the only stone that actually isn't actual stone that is actually in a liquid form base. So I'm not sure how that's going to work with it. The Infinity Gauntlet later on, is it going to be solidified? I'm not really sure. But either way, the only reason why Earth got involved in this is because Natalie Portman's Jane was looking for stuff, ironically, and happened to stumble across the Reality Stone. And it overtook her entire body, and Thor had to come back and try to take care of her, protect her. And he kind of let himself go and dial back because he knew he had to take care of the 9 realms. He had to go and uphold the peace, so to speak. But he was always catching the glimpse from the eye with Heimdall's help, of course, of watching it. And then one day they just couldn't find her. And so I thought that, I mean, that made sense. But everything else with Darcy, with my man Eric, with the new person that Darcy was in a relationship with, the moment that Jane Foster was like on a date and talking to this random dude in some place, and then Darcy comes there and kind of thwarts that like interaction, I was like, this wasn't needed. It wasn't needed whatsoever. The things that did work, though, were everything with Loki, and specifically with Thor. I think that Thor's maturity in this movie really worked and shined, because it was very prevalent. I could tell his maturity. I could tell that his stance was completely different. Even Loki, by the end of the movie, had this metamorphosis and evolution of his character, because through circumstance and through tragedy, the woman that they both loved died. And it was like to watch the scene when the funeral was happening and when Loki finally got the revelation that is technically a surrogate mother died, and the anger and the rage and the hurt and the pain that they all felt, it stood across most of the film pretty well. And I think that there was another altercation that happened with Thor and Loki later on when, you know, Thor didn't have a choice. He needed his brother's help. And he was like, I wish I could trust you. And she wouldn't want us fighting. And it was like, Loki was like, trust my rage. Like, I am hurting as much as you are, and they're going to pay for this. I thought that that worked really well. Now, there were some comedic moments with Loki that kind of didn't work. Specifically when he got out with Asgard. And I thought that when each time, like, Thor's friends or his group, their comrades were like, if you betray him, I'm going to kill you. If you betray him, I'm going to kill you. I'm like, I don't know, from a scripture standpoint, it was redundant. It didn't really make much platonic sense. The other thing was that Odin in this movie was just mad for no good reason. Like, it wasn't the same exact Odin from Thor 1 that was just so wise and secure. Like, he just had this vendetta against Jane Foster because I guess he blames her for keeping him at bay, even though he put him on Earth for him to embrace his humanity. So it's like, why are you reneging in this episode or this movie? More so like the beginning of it, the in-between, I understood the reason why he was so upset was because out of grief, out of worry, out of concern. Like, I was like, this man is emotionally compromised. Think Star Trek, think Spock when he was emotionally compromised. That was Odin in the back half of this movie. But the beginning of it was like, why are you so upset? Why are you so mad? You know, I just didn't think it was merited. And I think that Anthony Hopkins didn't seem like he was into it, honestly. Like I said, the key people in this movie to me were definitely Tom Hiddleston and I think Chris Hemsworth. They gave as much as you could tell. You know what I'm saying? Now, Malekith as a villain, I think that they underutilized him. I think that they definitely used him to show his malicious intent when he killed, you know, Thor's mom. When you got to see the early battle stuff, and when he like just slaughtered his entire people, but it was like they left him kind of a cookie cutter villain. Like it's like he's there and he's not. Versus like Ronan the Accuser and Guardians of the Galaxy. Now that Joker had the same amount of screen time, but felt way more engaging, way more darker and deeper. Even though Malik is supposed to be technically stronger, so it's kind of like I feel like they underserviced from a scripting standpoint what they could really do with him. And they just kind of, towards the end, I literally, at the end, I was talking to my wife, I was like, I don't think I fell asleep when, like, Thor didn't have his hammer. He was sitting there with these steel poles where he was going to, like, transform somewhere. Like, it just went all over the place. Now, the stuff in Asgard, when they were on the ships and flying through, I was like, I forgot all about that. But it was like, it's just so much happening that didn't really mean anything. I got the meaning behind it. Like, he was trying to protect Jane. Loki was trying to help him. Loki sacrificed himself a couple different times. Loki sacrificed himself for Jane. And it worked for that standpoint, but as a film, like it just... I think that they didn't really need Jane in this movie. They really didn't need any Earthlings. They used her as a catalyst, and if they were going to use her, it should have been a minimalistic standpoint. Like, it shouldn't have been going right back to Earth. I think it should have stayed on Asgard as was, because the stuff in Asgard... Like, there was this... Like, the score... When the funeral was going on, dude, that score was so special. It was so deep. I really felt the immersion behind it. When Thor was on the battlefield working with his team and like working with Lady Sif, which she didn't show up in Ragnarok for whatever reason. I'm assuming she's gonna come back, but she's on blind spot now, so I don't really know. I thought she would have been a dope Wonder Woman personally. Ironically, Patty Jenkins was actually supposed to direct this. Instead, they got Alan Taylor, who does really good, I guess, on the TV side of things, but when it comes to film, not as much. But yeah, I mean, that's really much I could say about it. There is an end credit scene that was actually pretty dope. But either way, like, it just kind of platforms things with the Infinity Stones, with the Collector, and then, of course, moving forward with the Guardians of the Galaxy. As a film, again, everything that happened with Asgard and the tone as far as where Thor was and with Loki, specifically when Loki got locked up, when he was talking to his dad, or his surrogate dad and Odin, I thought those moments worked, but it's like everything that was even about Earth, from Eric, from Natalie Portman, all those people, I just couldn't get behind it at all. And it really brought the movie down. And it doesn't hold up even now, actually, because I really was falling asleep. So I have to give this movie as a whole a 6 out of 10. I would probably maybe give it a 6.5 because I love what they did with Loki in this one, specifically at the very end, that interesting twist, but it never went anywhere. And it didn't... Like, I think one thing about Thor Ragnarok, they removed everything that didn't work. All these things that I've been talking to you about that didn't work is not in Thor Ragnarok at all. But at the same time, Lady Sif could have showed up. I'm not sure why she wasn't in Ragnarok. Where is she at? What's she doing? And the other thing about it is, in Thor 1 and Thor 2, Thor's team, his group, it wasn't they didn't work. It was just they didn't get utilized well. And I thought they functioned well as a group. Now, when Thor Ragnarok came, they died like that. And it just kind of became a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't anything that I could really feel behind it. And I think that was a underservice of their characters. I mean, that you built from 2 different movies. But what can I say? That's it. That's all I got. Hope y'all enjoyed this review. Keep it locked. JVS ain't stop. Next on the list, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 9. Peace, guys.